One message changed her whole life, and she had no idea it would break her heart. Anita had always lived a quiet life. Nothing wild, nothing loud, nothing dramatic. She lived in a small town in Ohio where every day felt the same. She woke up, went to work, came back home, ate the same food, watched the news, and went to sleep. Her days had no color until the moment she heard the name Ibrahim Traoré. One evening, while scrolling through her phone, she clicked on a video, just one random video. But that video changed everything. It was President Ibrahim Traoré speaking with power, with courage, with fire in his voice. His words were bold, his heart seemed strong, and his eyes looked like they carried both strength and kindness. Something inside Anita woke up. She didn't understand it at first. She thought it was only respect. She thought it was only admiration. But day after day, that feeling grew stronger. She watched every speech she could find. She listened to his words over and over. And one night, after watching a long interview, she whispered to herself, "I feel like he is speaking to my soul." Her hands shook slightly as she picked up her phone. She opened her messages and wrote something she never thought she would write. "Hello, President Traoré. My name is Anita. You don't know me, but I want to say that you inspire me every day. I love what you are doing for your people. One day, I hope to visit Burkina Faso, maybe even meet you." Her heart beat fast. She hesitated. Should she send it? After a long breath, she finally pressed send. She didn't expect a reply. She knew he was a president. She knew he received thousands of messages every single day. But she didn't stop writing. Every few days, she sent him another message. Never rude, never pushy, just honest words filled with respect and growing affection. Her feelings grew so much that one night, she wrote something completely different, something that changed everything. "If I ever come to Burkina Faso, I hope your family will welcome me. I feel like I belong there." After sending that message, Anita made the boldest decision of her life. She booked a flight to Burkina Faso without telling anyone. She packed lightly, a few clothes, her Bible, and a heart full of dreams. She believed this was destiny pulling her forward. When she arrived, she didn't go to a hotel. Instead, she walked through villages asking where the president's grandmother lived. She had a printed picture in her hand. People were kind and helpful. They guided her. Finally, she reached the old family house. Her heart shook as the president's grandmother stepped outside. Anita felt tears rise in her eyes. The old woman's warm smile felt like home. "Mama," Anita said softly, "I came from America because I love the president. I love what he stands for. I love him." The grandmother listened quietly. Anita continued, voice full of emotion, "I know your religion allows a man to have more than one wife. I want to be his second wife." The grandmother did not get angry. She looked deep into Anita's heart. She saw her sincerity, her innocence, and slowly she smiled. "My daughter, it is a good idea." Those words filled Anita with hope, and that hope pushed her story into a direction she never expected. But Anita had no idea that the dream she was building was about to face a storm. If you want to hear what happens next, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next part. Everything was ready, except the one man who knew nothing about it. After the grandmother accepted Anita with open arms, things moved fast, almost too fast. Anita felt like she was living a dream she didn't want to wake up from. The grandmother welcomed her into the family house, offered her food, sat with her, and listened to every detail of her journey. She saw how far Anita had traveled, how much courage she had, and how much love she carried in her heart. Soon, the grandmother began preparations for the wedding. They kept everything quiet. Only the grandmother, the president's mother, and a few trusted villagers knew. They decorated a small hall with white cloth, candles, soft lights, and flowers from the grandmother's garden. Everything looked peaceful and beautiful, like a love story waiting to bloom. They even invited a pastor and a marabout, so both Christian and Muslim traditions would be honored. It was meant to be a union of two worlds, a bridge between cultures, a moment of blessing. Meanwhile, Anita tried on her wedding dress in a small room prepared especially for her. When she saw herself in the mirror, she whispered, "This is the beginning of my new life." She believed with all her heart that she was walking into her destiny. But there was one big problem, one impossibly big truth. President Ibrahim Traoré had no idea any of this was happening. A week before the ceremony, the grandmother called him and said, "My son, I have a surprise for you. Come next week. It is something beautiful. You will be happy." He smiled, thinking she was planning a small family gathering or maybe a blessing ceremony. He told his wife, "Grandmother has a surprise for me. I will visit her next week." His wife, calm and supportive, replied gently, "No problem. Give her my greetings." No one suspected anything. No one imagined the grandmother was preparing a wedding without telling the groom. And while President Traoré prepared for a normal visit, Anita stood in her wedding dress, trembling with excitement, believing she was just days away from becoming the president's second wife. Finally, the day arrived. The hall was bright and decorated beautifully. The pastor stood on one side of the stage, the marabout on the other. The chairs were arranged neatly. The cameras were set up, quiet, small, almost hidden. Everything felt ready. Anita waited in her bridal room, her hands shaking as she adjusted her veil. The grandmother held her hands and said with a warm smile, "My daughter, my grandson will be happy. You are a good woman. Trust me." But even the grandmother, deep inside, didn't truly know what Ibrahim's reaction would be. She only hoped. hoped. She believed love had no borders. She believed her grandson was a man with enough heart to welcome Anita. Meanwhile, President Traoré was on his way with 2 guards, thinking he was going to a normal family surprise. But when he arrived, he immediately noticed something was wrong. The address did not lead to his grandmother's house. It led to a hall decorated like a wedding venue. He stepped inside. Everyone froze. He looked around and whispered to himself, "Why does this look like a wedding?" He didn't know that behind a small door, dressed in white, Anita was waiting for him with all her dreams on the line. He walked closer, and the truth he was about to see would change everything. When he opened the door, time stopped. President Ibrahim Traoré stood inside the hall, confused, surprised, and unsure why everything looked like a wedding. His heart beat faster as he walked carefully through the decorated room. The flowers, the lights, the chairs, it all felt strange. And then he saw his grandmother walking toward him with a big smile. "My son, welcome. The surprise is ready," she said, taking his hand. He looked at her with worried eyes. "Mama, what is going on here? Why does this place look like a ceremony?" "Come," she said gently. "You will understand soon." She led him down a narrow hallway toward a small door. She pushed it open slowly, and everything changed. Inside the room stood Anita, wearing a white wedding dress. She looked like a painting, soft, glowing, full of hope. Her eyes sparkled with emotion, and for a moment, she forgot to breathe. President Traoré stopped. His eyes widened. His mind went blank. "You? I think I know you," he said slowly. "What are you doing in a wedding dress?" Tears rose instantly in Anita's eyes, not from sadness, but from overwhelming emotion. "President Traoré, my love," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I came from America for you. I told Mama everything. She accepted me. Everyone accepted me. We prepared everything for our wedding." Her voice trembled as she stepped closer. "I want to be your second wife." His grandmother stood behind him, nodding proudly. "My son, this woman loves you with her whole heart. She came from very far. You need a bigger family. You deserve this." Anita reached for his hands, her whole body shaking. "Ibrahim, please, sign the marriage papers. Let's start our life together." The room fell silent. The president felt his chest tighten. He could see the truth in Anita's eyes. He could see her sincerity, her bravery. She left her entire world behind to be near him. She crossed oceans. She entered a new culture. She walked into his family's arms with love and hope. He respected that deeply. But respect is not the same as choice. He took a long breath and spoke gently. "Anita, you should have spoken to me first. You cannot prepare a wedding without the groom. Even if my religion allows more than one wife, my heart and my life are not ready for this." Anita's face broke. Her hope began to fall apart. "No, please, no," she cried, falling to her knees. "Don't reject me. I came all the way for you. Please don't dishonor me. Please don't send me away like this." Her sobs filled the room. The president quickly bent down and lifted her gently by the arms. "Please stand. You don't deserve shame. You deserve respect." But her tears only grew heavier. "Then marry me," she cried. "I don't want anything else. I just want you." His grandmother tried again. "My son, think about it." But for the first time, his voice turned firm. "No, Mama." Everyone knew in that moment the wedding would not happen. The decorated hall suddenly felt cold. The flowers felt dull. The lights felt too bright. Everything that had been prepared with love now felt like a mistake. And Anita stood in the center of it all, watching her dream crumble in front of her eyes. But the real pain was only beginning, because the hardest words had not yet been spoken. Her dream didn't just break, it shattered in front of everyone. The hall, once full of quiet excitement, now felt heavy. The cameras stopped moving. The pastor lowered his head. The marabou took a step back. Even the grandmother, who had been full of hope, now looked confused and sad. The truth was clear. The wedding was not going to happen, but Anita couldn't accept it. She stood there in her white dress, shaking with heartbreak. Her tears fell non-stop, and her hands trembled as she tried to hold on to a dream that was slipping away. President Ibrahim Traoré walked toward her slowly. His voice was gentle, but his eyes showed pain, not for himself, but for her. "Anita, please look at me." It took her a moment, but she finally lifted her face. Her makeup was smudged, her eyes were swollen, her lips trembling. She looked like someone whose entire world had collapsed. "I didn't want this for you," the president said softly. "I didn't want you to be hurt." She swallowed hard. "I came for you," she whispered. "I crossed the world for you. I left everything behind. Why can't you just accept me?" His heart ached. He admired her bravery. He respected her feelings. But he knew the truth he had to speak. "Because marriage is not something you surprise someone with," he said gently. "It must be chosen by both hearts, not created in secret, not forced." Anita pressed her hand to her chest as if the pain was physical. "I thought you would understand," she cried. "I thought you would feel something too. I thought you would see my heart." "I do see it," he said. "You have a pure, brave heart. But my life is not simple. I have a nation watching me. I have responsibilities heavier than you can imagine. I already have a family depending on me. I cannot add more." Her voice broke. "So after everything I did, I go home in shame." "No," he answered firmly. "You will not leave in shame. I won't allow it. You will leave with honor." But Anita shook her head, crying harder. "People will laugh at me. They will say I chased a man who never wanted me." At that moment, the grandmother stepped forward. Her voice was quiet, full of regret. "My daughter, forgive me. I truly believed my grandson would accept you. I only wanted to help both of you. I did not want to hurt you." Anita looked at her with teary eyes. "Mama, you gave me hope. I don't blame you." They embraced, and for a moment, the room felt even heavier, because two hearts were hurting at the same time. Then the president spoke softly. softly. Anita, come with me. We need to talk alone. He guided her into a small room away from everyone. When the door closed, the silence was thick. Listen to me, he said, sitting gently beside her. You showed courage. Most people never follow their heart the way you did. I respect you deeply. Her voice shook. Then why won't you marry me? He took a long breath. Because marriage is not only love. It is responsibility. And my responsibility is bigger than my personal desires. I cannot ask you to carry the weight of my life. It is too heavy. I can, she cried. I can carry it. I can help you. I just want to be with you. He shook his head slowly. You deserve a love that lifts you, not a love that crushes you. She closed her eyes as tears ran down her cheeks. So what happens now? She whispered. You will return home, he said softly. I will make sure your journey back is safe. You will not leave alone. Her voice cracked again. And after that, we never speak again. A long silence filled the room. Finally, he said quietly, I will always remember your courage. But no, we cannot continue like this. It was the final blow to her heart. But even after all this, her story was far from over. She left the hall in silence, but her heartbreak followed her across the ocean. When Anita stepped out of the marriage hall, the sunlight outside felt too bright for her hurting heart. Her wedding dress brushed softly against the ground, but the weight inside her chest felt heavier than anything she had ever carried. A car was waiting for her, arranged by the president's team. People watched quietly as she walked toward the vehicle. No one laughed, no one whispered, no one judged. Everyone could see the pain written on her face. She turned one last time. The hall, decorated with flowers and lights, now looked like a place where her dreams had died. She lifted her eyes and whispered, Goodbye, Ibrahim. Then she stepped inside the car and it drove away. Hours later, she boarded a plane back to the United States. She didn't speak. She didn't look out the window. She simply sat there, holding her hands together, replaying every moment in her mind. From the moment she met his grandmother, to the moment he lifted her gently from the floor, to the moment he said, I cannot give you what you want. Not now. Not ever. Those words followed her across the ocean. When she landed back in America, she felt numb. She walked through the airport with slow steps, still wearing part of her wedding dress. She couldn't bring herself to remove it. To her, removing the dress felt like letting go of the dream completely. Her apartment felt colder than she remembered. Too quiet, too empty. She sat on her bed and finally took off her veil. She placed it gently beside her as if it could break. And then she whispered to the empty room, Why, Ibrahim? Why couldn't you love me back? She didn't get an answer. Only silence. Days passed, and Anita barely ate. She didn't go outside. She didn't talk to anyone. She lay in bed thinking about the hall, the flowers, the hope she once felt, the hope that now hurt more than anything. Sometimes she remembered the president's voice. You don't deserve shame. You deserve respect. His kindness made the pain worse. One night, she picked up her phone and scrolled through the messages she sent him, the messages he never saw. She touched the screen softly, imagining he could feel her somehow. I loved you, she whispered, with everything in me. While Anita struggled with heartbreak in America, far away in Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Traoré sat alone in his office. The city outside was quiet. The lights looked like stars scattered on the ground. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes, heavy with thoughts. He wasn't angry at Anita. He wasn't annoyed. He wasn't offended. If anything, he admired her. He admired her courage, because not many people in this world would cross oceans for love. But he also knew he had done the right thing. His life was not simple. His duty came before everything else. He had a nation depending on him. He had a family to protect. Whether she was sincere or not, adding another wife would bring chaos. Still, he felt a small sadness in his chest, a quiet ache for the pain she must be feeling. He walked to his window and looked up at the moon. Anita, I hope you heal, he whispered. Then he returned to his desk and wrote a short line in his notebook. Some hearts enter our lives to teach us something. May God guide her path. Meanwhile, Anita forced herself to leave her apartment just for a short walk. She sat on a park bench, holding her small Bible close. A little child passed by and handed her a flower. She gave a weak smile. Thank you, she whispered. She looked at the sky and said softly, God, help me heal. But even as she prayed, the memory of the president's face came back, the strength in his eyes, the kindness in his voice, and her heart broke all over again. Still, she knew healing had to start somewhere. But destiny wasn't done with her yet. Her story still had one more chapter. She thought her story was over, but her heart still had one more truth to face. Days turned into weeks, and Anita slowly tried to rebuild her life. But some days felt impossible. Some mornings she woke up with her chest tight, wishing everything had happened differently. Love, especially deep love, does not disappear overnight. One evening, she sat by her window with a cup of tea. The city lights outside were soft and calm. She breathed slowly and whispered, I will heal, even if it takes time. That night, she made a small promise to herself. She would not run from her pain anymore. She would walk through it, live through it, and let it shape her, not destroy her. She began going outside more often. She visited the park daily. She started writing in a small notebook, her feelings, her pain, her hopes. Her heart was still fragile, but at least she was moving forward instead of staying frozen. One day, as she sat under a tree writing, a gentle thought came to her. Maybe love doesn't always mean ending up together. Sometimes love is just a lesson. She closed her notebook and held it against her chest. Far away, in Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Traoré finished a long day of work. His body was tired, but his mind wandered back back to Anita again. Not with guilt, not with regret, but with a quiet respect. He remembered her trembling voice, her bravery, her tears, her hope. He whispered to himself, "Some hearts are too pure for this world. I pray she finds peace." He knew their paths would never cross again. His life was full of duties and responsibilities, and hers was far away in another land. But still, deep inside, he hoped she would heal and find someone who would choose her without hesitation. Meanwhile, Anita started healing in small pieces. She began attending church again. She talked to a close friend for the first time in weeks. She even smiled, a real smile, when the same little child returned to the park and handed her another flower. "Here," the child said again. This time, Anita didn't give a weak smile. She laughed softly and said, "You're very kind." The innocence of the gesture warmed her heart. She realized something beautiful. Even if one person doesn't choose you, even if life doesn't go the way you hoped, there are still small moments of love everywhere. One afternoon, she opened her notebook and wrote, "I loved, I lost, and I lived." She didn't erase anything. She didn't tear any pages. She kept every word, because this story, even with pain, had changed her forever. Later that night, she stood in front of her mirror, holding her wedding veil one last time. She touched the fabric gently and whispered, "I release this dream, and I forgive myself for dreaming it." She folded the veil carefully and placed it inside a small box, not out of shame, but as a memory of a journey that taught her courage, love, and strength. As she closed the box, she felt a lightness she hadn't felt in weeks. Her heart wasn't completely healed yet, but it was healing, and sometimes that is enough. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, the president stepped outside his office and looked at the stars. He closed his eyes for a moment and silently prayed, "May her heart be guided. May her future be filled with peace." Two different worlds, two different hearts, one unforgettable story. And even though their paths separated, neither of them would ever forget the strange, powerful connection that crossed oceans and cultures. In Anita's heart, the pain slowly turned into strength. In the president's heart, the memory turned into respect. And life moved forward, quietly, softly, beautifully. If you want more emotional stories like this one, make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss what comes next. Thank you for staying until the end.